Reverend Wharton for the prayer. I want to start by thanking Sister and Elder Anderson for this opportunity. I want to say good morning, first of all, to all of you. Thank you for being here and for having a conversation that can be sometimes difficult for us to have. So today we're going to talk about the unbroken circle, navigating grief, sustainability, and preparation in the Black families. And this is, a part of this session is what to expect when a loved one dies. Last Saturday, Sister Murray shared with you all and kind of gave you an opening of what this is. Y'all, we never will have enough time to go in thorough detail of your specific situation. But if there's anything that you have specific questions about, you have both of our contact information. You can reach out to us. If your individual church needs that, we can come to your church and have those conversations. But I'd rather it be something that you know. So I want to start off by sharing with you, I have to give this disclaimer. Everything in this presentation is not the views, thoughts of the Abbeville-Greenwood District, the AME Church, or the 7th Episcopal District, and I am not trying to be your funeral director. I have to give you that disclaimer because I will lose my license if I don't. This is not a solicitation for you to use my funeral home or any of the funeral homes that I work for. So we got that out the way. I can keep my license now. To start this off, I do want to open with this video clip. It's one of my favorites.
I've got it, Annie. I want to go away out you, Mom. Not for a long, long time. You can't leave me. I won't let you. I'm just tired, Miss Laura. Awfully tired.
The teacher in me likes to cater to every learning style. Everybody is not a physical reading of paper and flipping through, and so I like to give videos to give context to our conversation. What you saw in the video was very important to what we're discussing today. You saw an individual who did the right thing and made sure that what she wanted was recorded. Everybody needs to make sure, I don't care if it's a piece of brown paper bag with chicken grease stains on it or something, you need to, at this point in your life, make sure that someone in your family is aware of what you want, where your important information and documents are, because too many times we find challenges from my role in the funeral home. Families come in and they are unprepared. Not just unprepared financially, but they are unprepared to answer general and simple questions. When you look through all of the resources that you have inside this packet, you have multiple resources to make your wishes known and to document those things. This one is one that I prepared for you. It's a simple glance. There is another packet in here that is a little bit thicker, and that one, it allows you to spell out things more directly. It starts with memorial checklist and about me, and it goes through and it gives you that resource. All I'm asking is that you take the time to fill this stuff out. Don't just fill it out. Make sure that someone knows where it is. Make sure that someone knows where it is. So a quote from Dr. Maya Angelou said, "I did then what I knew how to do. Now that I know better, I do better." You have no excuse beyond today if you are sitting in here, if you come into any of these sessions led by myself and Sister Murray, you have no excuse moving forward that somebody doesn't know something about how you want things to be handled. And so you know better now. Research shows that African Americans and other minorities are the most unprepared in regards to afterlife processes. This is because death in our community is viewed on conversations of the levels of HIV and AIDS. We do not want to address these things until they directly affect us. For some of us, it's because of fear. The fear of death, whether we choose to accept it or not, psychologically, is at the fault of our parents. I know that's hard. Y'all looking at me like, don't blame my mama. Don't you talk about my mama. But let me tell you, did you know that children are not supposed to attend funerals until the age of 9? They will not understand and conceptualize death until the age of 12. Think about the first funeral you went to. You probably were younger than 9 years old. And psychologically, if you're a person, so when I hear people say, "Oh no, I don't like the funeral home. Oh no, I don't like death," it's because you were exposed to death too early. Whether that is you experiencing someone in your family or your parents that died at a young age or a sibling or something, you were exposed to death too early. So when we talk in mortuary school, we're taught the psychology of funeral service is a course. And they teach us and explain to us that children should not go to funerals until they are 9 or older. But think about how many times your mom and your grandma, they just brought you along, especially back then, the funerals is right after church on Sunday, so they have you sitting in here, they come rolling the casket in, and you at a funeral. No choice of your own, no thought of your own, but in your mind as a child, it affects you because you have jumped over the thought of living, and you are already faced with the fact at 5, 6, 7 years old, I'm gonna die. And so psychologically, that creates for you that struggle with accepting death. That creates for people that fear of being around death or being around funeral homes. And so I wanted to open and share with that, because that for some of us, it causes me in the funeral home to be a bit more understanding when I'm dealing with the family and someone comes in and they say, "Oh no, I don't like the funeral home. Oh no, I don't want to be here." But it also for me is a thing where I understand why this room is not filled with people right now. We do not want to accept the reality that we are going to leave here. As sure as you were born, you are going to die. And that's one of the things. So I wouldn't be a pastor if I didn't give you the scriptural basis. When we look at Job 14:1-2, it says, man that is born of a woman is but a few days and is full of trouble. He cometh forth like a flower and is cut down. He fleeth as a shadow and continueth not. Ecclesiastes 9:5 says, For the living know that they shall die, but the dead know not anything, neither have they any more a reward, for the memory of them is forgotten. John 14:1-3 says, Do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. For in my Father's house are many rooms. If that were not so, I would have told you that I go to prepare a place for you. He told us that we have to leave and that there was a place prepared for us. And so when we talk about the truth of funerals, a lot of people feel like the funeral home gets rich. I wish I was rich. I probably wouldn't be standing here right now if I was, but I'm not. So I like to give the reality. Let me tell you the things that death and funerals are not. They are not supposed to be financial setbacks for families. Let's clear that. They are not supposed to be unscheduled family reunions. And they are also not supposed to be a time to start or prolong division within the family. But these three things always happen in some way, shape, or form when people die in our community. And it's because we are not prepared. Death and funerals are about the deceased, and they should be reflective of the person's life. I'll tell you, I can't tell you how many times the children come in here, and because they always wanted mama to wear a blonde wig, they bring a blonde wig. Then we get in the church and we look and we don't know who that is, because that ain't the member I pastored for 20 years with a blonde wig on her head. Your funerals are to be reflective of that person's life. And so that's why I encourage you to take the time to write down and identify the things you want, so that your children are not sitting at a conference table in the presence of me or another funeral director thinking about what you want. Why? Because your children connect with certain parts of you. Each of your children connect with a certain part of you. For one of them, they're going to think your favorite color is red. For another one, they're going to think your favorite color is blue. You just always wore it because you in WMS. That's not your favorite color. But they don't know that because they don't know you, and you didn't take time to identify what your favorite color is. And so then this creates a battle. I don't know why she want mama in that blue dress. Mama did not like blue. Mama was a missionary. I don't know why she want mama to be in that black casket. Mama wasn't no man. And so you have to spell out all these things, because I am telling you, there's a video on YouTube that you can go and watch, and I won't give you the title of it because I don't want you to see me in it. But a fight broke out at a funeral that I was the director on, because the family could not agree from the start in the conference room all the way up until the funeral. And the funeral was where it met the head, and they started fighting. And if you see it, they were flipping the pews all over, and I sprained my ankle and everything. And that is why, for me, I try to, the moment I discover that there's dissension in a family, I try to, as the funeral director, bring it back together. Because if you fight on my watch, you're going to pay for the police, and I'm putting on your funeral bill. So I explain that to people. Funerals can be a financial boost for families if they are properly planned. They also can be a healing time for families if we allow ourselves to properly grieve. And funerals also can be an opportunity for the church to evangelize and grow. Pastors, a funeral is your opportunity to really shine. I'm going to tell you, I don't want to sound harsh, but some pastors preach better eulogies than sermons. Some pastors have the ability to draw people to their church to a funeral, and I tell the members at Springfield, how you treat people during a funeral is our prime opportunity to grow our church. They may not be members of our church, but how we handle them from the time they process in, from the time they're out in that cemetery to that repast, tells them who we are at our core, and it allows them to say, those people were so nice to us at that church, we need to go back and visit Sunday, or we need to join that church. And so funerals provide for the church an opportunity to grow as well. Let's talk about the cost of funerals. The median cost of a funeral is $8,300 according to studies from the National Funeral Directors Association. The median cost of cremation comes at about $6,200, almost $6,500. Let me give you some breaking news. $10,000 life insurance will not work anymore. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to inform you that $10,000 is not going to do anything for you in nobody's funeral home. I don't care if they got a package. I don't care if they don't bury that many people and they tell y'all they've been in y'all family buried for 50 years. It don't matter. $10,000 will not help you. Let me tell you why. We have the wrong concept as African Americans about life insurance. Life insurance is not to pay for a funeral. Life insurance is not for the funeral home. Life insurance is you have a husband and a wife. The husband passes away. This was a 2-income household. We now are down to a 1-income household. So life insurance is to replace and supplement that other income. Meaning you are to live off of life insurance, not come to the funeral home and give it to me. But I can't tell you how many times a family, from the time I get off the phone with them of the death call, oh, we got a policy, Mr. Brown. We got a policy. Oh, yeah, it's $100,000. I don't need to know that, number one. Number two, that's not something you should be proud and boasting to share with me. Because in my mind, the genuine funeral director that I am, you may have a $100,000 policy. But I say, oh, well, that means you probably only got $9,000 to spend with me. Now, yeah, y'all doing the math. They said they had $100,000. But the genuine funeral director that I am, and the fact that I got to sleep at night and I'm a pastor, I'm not going to take $30,000 of your insurance. Although I legally can when you come in there picking out all this stuff. I'm going to advise you what you need, what you don't need, what you have to have, and what you do not have to have. Now, I'm going to tell y'all, my colleagues could be watching this live stream. They ain't going to do that. You tell them you got a $500,000 life insurance policy, they will take you at your word and they will take all $500,000 of them dollars if you let them. And they will not tell you any different. You can go in there and pick out the casket that stand mama up. You can go in there and pick out the casket that'll launch her to heaven. Whatever you go in there and pick out, they're going to write it on that bill. And they're not going to tell you anything. Now me, when you sit down to make arrangements, I ask you, how many children is it? Oh, it's 3 of us. All y'all got a car? Yeah, okay, I think y'all should drive. We'll come to the house and meet y'all. I think you should drive. For us as African Americans, because we have been set back, we've been overlooked, we've been deprived for so long, a funeral for us in our communities is an opportunity to show off. We want people to say, oh, they put their mama away nice. You see they had 13 limousines. Ooh, that casket was nice. Now you can see yourself through that casket. That's what we want, and you have to move away from trying to impress people. Do not spend money that you don't have trying to impress people that you really don't like. Stop doing that. They are coming to that funeral to spectate. They're going to leave there, and they still going to talk about you. I don't care how much you spend. They're going to find something to talk about. You see how dirty that carpet was in that church? Ooh, they should have picked a better place to have that funeral. Nothing you do to coordinate that funeral is going to be perfect. So stop going in the funeral home trying to spend all this money to make it perfect. And the other side of it is, mama can't see it, smell it, feel it nowhere. The opportunity for you to make mama know that you loved her was while she was living and breathing. Do not come in the funeral home trying to show your love through purchases. My colleagues ain't going to tell you that, but I'm telling y'all that because I love you. And I care about you, and I don't want you to go in there being uninformed. Now let me tell you how I can tell you that. I have not just worked, I was born and raised in funeral service. My grandparents owned a funeral home all of my life. I broke the mold and decided, and I broke their heart because I decided, I don't want to stay here. I don't want to live in my hometown. I want to move. So I left my family's funeral home and I moved to Denver, Colorado to work for a white funeral home. Oh, my granddaddy was livid. I didn't pay for you to go to school and get your life, and you gonna leave and go? Yes, sir, I am. Why? Because I want to learn all aspects of funeral service. I don't want to just know what it's like to run a funeral home in Lake City, South Carolina, where I've been my entire life. I want to go and run a funeral where everybody ain't Christian. I want to go and run a funeral where everybody don't go to church, where everybody don't have a home church. I want to go and run a funeral where everybody's not my race, where everybody don't want the funeral 20 days from now. So I want to go learn how to run a funeral where the people want to be buried tonight. I want to go learn all the things that I can learn in funeral service. And so for me, when I stand before you all, I am prepared to tell you because I've seen all sides. I'm not just telling you the black funeral home side. I'm telling you that we as a people have the wrong concept of death. We have the wrong concept of funeral service. Reality set in for me, and it changed for me when I moved to Colorado. And my first death call when I got to the funeral home, I answered the phone. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. And the lady said, yeah, we want to use y'all, and my mama just passed. And I said, okay. And remember I told you this is a Caucasian funeral home. So I got up, put my suit on, drove to the people's house to get their mom. The moment I walked in the house, now we are taught in mortuary school, you don't get out the car. And I'm going to tell y'all so y'all can see this if you have to experience loss. The first thing we do when we get out the car, we don't come in with our card. We're not supposed to do that. We're supposed to come in and talk to you and express our condolences and find out where the person is, find out what furniture we need to move out. That's what we're supposed to do. So I did that. And the first thing this lady said to me is, yeah, she's back there in the room. She gave me a check for $7,000. And I'm looking like, lady, I can't take this check because A, I didn't go over the price with you. We did not write a bill. You ain't came to the funeral home, made no arrangements. Why are you handing me a check? And for me, reality set in that death for them is totally different than us. Want to know why? Because they understand for them, that is the end on the earthly side. They're not spending their time trying to, for them, guess what? In the moment from the time she hung that phone up with me, she had done planned her vacation. You want to know why? She was giving me that $7,000 check for that cremation that was going to take place for that memorial service that they were going to plan 6 months later. Because when I went down the hallway and got her mom and got on the cot, I said, okay, now I'm going to call you tomorrow to set an appointment for you to come make arrangements. She said, oh no, we're going to go out of town. We'll come back and pick up the cremated remains in about a couple months. I'm thinking to myself, this your mama. You don't care? And then I realized they do care. But they showed their care while living. They are not trying to prove anything in death. That is what sets them apart financially, because they're not coming in there trying to give us the whole policy. She said the direct cremation is $7. Okay, there go the check. She'd already called the funeral home ahead of time, found out the price of direct cremation, found out everything she needed to find out. Then when I got back to the funeral home, I realized her mom had a pre-need already. So the cremation authorization, the documents were already signed. She didn't need to do anything but pay me. And so she did it. And they came back 6 months later, sat down, scheduled a memorial service. We had a memorial service. They cried looking at pictures, and that was the end of it. But for us, y'all want to hold them for 3 and 4 weeks. We got to wait on everybody to come from New York. And then when they get here, we need 5 more days for them to go get their hair done and their nails done and find their outfit. And then we got to wait till Sandra come in town from New York, because we can't go buy mama dress till Sandra get here. Because if we do that, it's going to be a falling out.
You better watch yourself.
Sandra's going to try to work the whole week, get her paycheck, then they going to ride down 4 days in the morning, Friday. We ain't having the funeral this Saturday, it's next Saturday. She gonna spend a whole week. We got to get mama house cleaned up because people coming over here, and we got to get the yard straight and all that, and we got to find the papers and all. We make this a whole event that it should not be. It's fine if you want your family to come and spend 2 weeks out of town, but it should not be bogged down in finding information and planning the funeral. We need to do that ahead of time. We need to do it ahead of time. So I want to set the tone for you that if you got a $10,000 life insurance policy, that's cute. But you might want to call your insurance company and up the face amount or get you another policy that is more than that. Because while that may be enough for you to give to somebody's funeral home, this is the thing we don't take into consideration. It's the thing that I think about. I always try to send the family back home with something. So if they do have $10,000, I would do everything in my power to make their funeral bill less than that. You want to know why? Because for us, we have a setting up. People at your house all week running lights, running water, flushing the toilet, and all over the place. Guess what you're going to get when all this is over? A light bill, a water bill, a gas bill. You're going to get all these bills. And so for me, I think about that. And I say, this is an opportunity for me to be a blessing to these people because they're going to have other bills coming in. Now, I can't help you if you got a $10,000 life insurance policy and you got mortgage coming up. Because, listen, we got one too at the funeral home. I can't help you with that. You need to make sure that you have more than enough life insurance to continue the things that you need to continue. So, that's your reality there. What you need to do, this is what you can do. And Sister Murray touched on this last Saturday. You need to go to the funeral home and you need to let them know now that you want to make pre-arrangements. You have all the tools you need now to do that. Because when you come in the funeral home and say that, number one, make sure the funeral home is licensed to write pre-need. Otherwise, they have the ability to take your money and it's going to be between you and them. You go in there and get them a $10,000 check. Oh well, you better hope when you die they can find that $10,000, because if they're not licensed to hold it, you just donate it to the funeral home My Pocket Fund. Okay? So make sure you check and you ask them, are you all licensed to write pre-need? Now I will tell you, our pre-need in the state of South Carolina is governed by the South Carolina Department of Consumer Affairs. What that means is, when Sister and Brother Anderson come in there and say, hey, Reverend Brown, we want to write a pre-need, and they sit down and we write out the bill and everything's planned out, and they give me that check, as the funeral director, I have at most 5 days to get that check to First Citizens Bank to deposit it. First Citizens, a lot of banks hold pre-need, but First Citizens is the one that the state encourages us to hold our money in. I'm to take that check to First Citizens, open a pre-need account, and put that check in that account. What you should be looking for after that is a bank statement coming from First Citizens. If you don't get one, that means the funeral director didn't do something right, and you need to go to the funeral home, because I promise you the funeral home got it. Because the funeral home gets a copy and you get a copy. And it will say pre-need arrangements, or the outside the envelope will say Jaquel Brown in care of ABC Funeral Home, or ABC Funeral Home in care of Jaquel Brown. Both names will be on that. That tells you that this funeral home has opened a pre-need account at First Citizens for you. You're going to get that monthly, statement. The funeral home gets a copy of that statement as well. The funeral home is to keep that statement in your file in the pre-need cabinet. We have to keep a separate file cabinet for pre-needs than at-needs. And you have the right, let me tell y'all this, you have the right to go to that funeral home anytime you want to and ask for your folder. I need to see my folder. Okay? And you can, if your children make you mad and you don't trust that son of yours no more, you can get that folder and cross his name right on off there that you got the right to change that thing as many times as you want to. But make sure that you do it. You all need to do that now. Because what I will tell you is, it is essentially layaway for a funeral. It's the same thing as layaway. You're going to go in, you're going to pick out everything you want. The funeral director is going to write you a bill. They're going to give you the total. What you do then is you have the ability to keep going to the funeral home. Now, mind you, some funeral homes, like me, you need to at least have $1,000, because you're not going to just come in here and keep bringing me $20 every week, because I got to drive out $50 to go to the bank to deposit it, okay? So I try to encourage people, make sure when you're coming in to make those deposits, you're making sizable amounts or what. I'm not saying they got to be $5,000 every time, but make it worth the time. I'm going to tell you, we had a little old lady, she passed away a couple years ago. She attended my home church, but she had a pre-need with my family's funeral home. She wrote the pre-need in 1977, before pre-need was even governed by the Consumer Affairs. My granddaddy had this lady folder. The folder was as thick as I am. It was just this big old folder, because she kept coming in there, changing it. But I could not understand why Sister Timmons would come to the funeral home every month and she was just bringing a $20 bill. And my granddaddy would tell me my business, but I asked him, I said, why she give you $20 every month? What is that for? And that's when I learned about pre-need. She kept coming in there, bringing that $20 a month, and y'all, she did it up until she passed away in 2000, and I think she passed away in 22. She had paid that from 1976 to 2022. That was a lot of money, y'all. Her funeral bill that she wrote in 1976, pre-need, we can't change your bill. Your bill is locked. Unless you come in there changing stuff. Now, if you come in there upgrading the casket, I want 5 limousines now. We have the right to upgrade it then. But we can't change your price. If you write it at today's price, it stays at that price. So if you go in there today and then you die in the year 2080, they can only charge you what was on that bill today. And they have the ability to add an increase for administrative fees, but it's not very high. But what she did, she paid more than her pre-need. So what that meant for her children was, they got some money back. And I'm going to tell y'all, those daughters was happy because they got a whole bunch of money back. When I looked at, and I told my granddaddy, I said, now this cannot be right. We ain't got nothing else we can add on here. I said, so we about to let this lady get away with paying $5,000 for a funeral. The funerals is 3 times this cost now. That's all we could get. Because that's what she wrote. That was the total of funerals at that time. And by the time she passed away, there was $45,000 in that account. Because what she did, not just that $20, anytime her kids gave her birthday money, anytime people gave her large amounts of money, so one of her daughters passed, she took a portion, a lump of that policy, and she put it in that account. Because let me tell you about pre-need. You cannot touch it. The only way it can be touched is with a death certificate. So the only way you getting it is you got to die. And you ain't going to get it. Somebody's going to get it. And so I tell you, pre-need is a great way to save money. If you know you got a problem with saving money, put it in a pre-need. Because guess what? You ain't going to get it. You ain't getting it at all. So you want to save something for your children, put it in a pre-need. Because the money cannot come out. And I don't care, you go up there to the bank, you can cuss and scream and fuss and whatever you want, they will not give you that money. You got to die to get that money. The only way that money is coming out of First Citizens is death. Some people get creative and say, well, I changed the funeral home I want to go to. They gonna give me my money. No, ma'am. It's that you got to now tell me that you changed the funeral home, and I will write on your pre-need that when you die, the money goes to that funeral home. You don't get the money back. And so what people have to understand about pre-need funerals, it allows your wishes to be known, it allows your desires to be known and carried out the way you want it to be. It sets aside funds for your survivors that cannot be accessed. So if you know your children are not good with money, put it in a pre-need. If you don't, like Sister Mary told you last week, and y'all, I'm going to be real with you. It's hard, y'all, sometimes financially to keep up with those premiums on life insurance. If you know you can't do it, if you know you can't commit to paying that premium every month, get a pre-need. Because there is no monthly date that you got to put money in a pre-need account. It's whenever you put it in there. If you can't keep up with the payments of a premium, if you know on the 15th of the month you might not have $200, you might need to dance with the pre-need, not the life insurance. Okay? It's good for you, I encourage you to have both. Because the pre-need is going to take care of the funeral. The life insurance is going to take care of everything else in your life. Okay? And so now you have the ability also, when you go make your pre-arrangements, you can tell the funeral director, this is my policy that is going to pay for this funeral. Okay? So don't just get me misunderstood thinking that it's just about cash. You can give them the policy and say, we've planned out our funeral. This is the policy we want to use to pay for it. Now, a smart funeral director like me, I ain't finna let you play with me because y'all like to play games. You're going to do a change of beneficiary on that policy. You want to know why? Because let me tell you, your children will come in there and try to be smart with me. They will come in there, Mama ain't had no life insurance. Is she? Your mama, I've been passing your mama long. I know your mama had some life insurance, but Mama ain't had no life insurance. And guess what they done did? They done cashed that policy and did something else with it. And the funeral home is now at a loss because they've done something with that policy. So I tell you, do a change of beneficiary. If you got this little small policy that you want to be just for your funeral, do a change of beneficiary and make the funeral home the beneficiary. That way you know that's taken care of. You know your children can't go change it. They can't do anything to it because it belongs to the funeral home now. Okay? So I advise you, that's what I did with my grandparents. They have a pre-need, but they also have a policy that is dedicated just to the funeral home, meaning they can't do nothing with it. The funeral home is going to get it. I encourage you to do that. If you know your children are going to play games, or you may become ill and can't keep up with the premium, or somebody going to be in charge of your account and do a stop payment or something like that. These are the ways that you make sure that you lock it in. This is another thing. This also, not only does it lock in your price, when you put money in that pre-need account at First Citizens, it gets daily compound interest. So interest is accumulated in that pre-need account daily. So whatever you got in there, whatever the current going rate for percentage for pre-need is, they're going to get daily interest on that. So your money is growing. It's not just sitting there. It's growing. Now, I ain't going to tell you, you put it in there today and it's going to be another extra $10,000 in there tomorrow. No, it don't grow that way. It's going to take a while. But if you put a sizable amount in there, just know that it's accumulating interest. And guess what? All the funeral home gets back is what is on that bill. The remainder goes to your children. So when you, at the end of the year, when they give you your little birthday money or whatever they give you, go put it in that pre-need account. Now in your mind, you're keeping a record, and the funeral home keeps a record as well. We know once that funeral's paid off. We know because we have to keep a running record that the state comes in every year and they check to make sure your money is in my building. Well, your money's at the bank, but I have the records in my building. And guess what? If I don't, y'all will see me on somebody's FBI website. Because funeral homes will be closed and you will be arrested if you take people's pre-need money and your funeral home is licensed to write pre-need. So don't worry about, well, what if the funeral home closed? It's governed. That money is held by the state. So you just tell the new funeral home, I wrote a pre-need at XYZ funeral home, it is closed, and the state will then pull the money and take it to that funeral home. So I have some people, well, I don't want to do that. These funeral homes, they might close. It don't matter if they close. The state got the money, not the funeral home. Okay? So you can trust it. That's protected. It's going to be there. Another thing I tell you, and this is something I encourage you, if you're about to put your loved one in a nursing home, write a pre-need first. They do it all the time.
Yes, they do.
They have money. I'm going to tell you.
Yes, they do.
And they're coming there and write. And I said, nah, y'all know y'all ain't finna. Y'all ain't gonna spend. Y'all gonna get a funeral home $70,000. For this cause, they will. Because now I'll tell you this: you can't downgrade a pre-need. You can only upgrade. So if you come in there and write it at $70,000, it's gonna be $70,000. That's what they do. They will come in and write it at $70,000. Put that $70,000 in there, and if mama going to nurse, the nursing home can't touch that. I'm gonna go back to this slide because it is there. Your pre-need is exempt. That's an exempt asset, meaning you can count it, but it does not apply to your income. Once it's over there in pre-need, you can hide it, okay? So before people, and I tell y'all this because we love to rush and put people in a nursing home. Before you do that, before y'all get to arguing about how much money in mama's checking account, take some money and put it in that pre-need, okay? Because the nursing home gonna get the rest of it anyway. I hope y'all know that. They can't get this stuff, okay? So this is something I want you to be informed about. Put the money in a pre-need because it can be held there, okay? So now let's talk about the funeral home. Before you go to the funeral home, you got this paper. I'm gonna be very upset with y'all if one of my colleagues called me and say, you know that man from the AME church came in here today and ain't had no, his daughter didn't have the insurance stuff. I'm gonna be very upset because I gave you this and I told you. In that first box right there, it says, identify y'all, all your insurance companies. Now you might be like Sister and Elder Anderson and you might got 300 policies. It's okay. Write them out. Y'all know they billionaires. They just got it like that. So I know this little paper ain't gonna be enough for them to write this, but y'all might be like them. I need you to identify your insurance, the company, the policy number, the face amount of the policy, who the beneficiaries are, and if there are any loans. Let me tell y'all, people will come in the funeral home and they will lie. They will give us the insurance policy and won't say a word to us. Guess what we do before we even pull them cars out their garage and come to your house to get you? We have to call and verify. And when we call and verify, the insurance company will say, oh, this policy is no good. This policy is voided, it lapsed. Or they'll say, yeah, it's a $50,000 policy, but there's a $30,000 loan on it. Tell your children if you fall on hard times and you have to take a loan out on the policy. It's fine. That protection is there for you. That provision is there. If you need to take a loan out on it, it's fine. But go back and identify on that there's a loan on it. So they don't go happy walking in the funeral home thinking, oh, we got a $50,000 policy. Mine is $25,000 because you took out a loan on it. Be honest and tell them that. Because the funeral home gonna tell them. And I promise you, when it comes from across this side of the table, it ain't gonna be nice. Because you done came in here and wrote a $50,000 bill. And now I'm trying to figure out where the rest of my money coming from. Because I know y'all ain't got no other $25,000 in no account. Okay? So make sure you identify all your policies. Write them out. Sister and Elder Anderson were very kind. They gave you an envelope. Put this stuff in this envelope. Go get all your policies. If you don't have them, call the insurance company, ask them to mail you another copy of the document. Put them in this envelope. Do like my grandma, lift the side of that mattress up and slide it under there. And tell your children whatever y'all need is under my mattress, okay? Make sure that everything is in one place. Because I can't tell you how many times families frustrate me because they got to go home and find the policy. And it take them, and it's 20 days it take us to have a funeral, y'all know. It take them 10 of those days to find the policy. But I'm smart. You know what I tell them to do? Go to the bank. ask for a bank statement. When you get the bank statement, it's going to tell you every transaction. And the insurance company, I said, you're going to look for words like Lincoln Heritage, United, Globe Life. You're going to look for words like that on the transaction history. Circle it, and that tells you where mama had a policy at. They'll come in there with them free things Globe Life give you, you know, the junk mail they mail to the house. Yeah, mama had Globe Life. You know your mama ain't had no Globe Life. They mail these to everybody's house. And you done took 10 days to play games with me, thinking I don't know no better than that. This is not my career and that I don't do this every day. I know that. And then you got me on the phone calling Globe Life and they don't know who Sandra is. Do you have date of birth? Yeah, this is her date of birth. No, I'm not finding that. Yeah, I got her social. No, I'm not finding it. And if they can't find you by your social, you don't have no policy. Okay? And I'm telling you to take the guesswork out of that for your children. Put it all in this envelope. Make sure somebody knows what this envelope is. Give it to your most trusted child, whichever one you trust the most. Make sure you give it to them so that they know where it is. But make sure that, like I said, before you go to the funeral home, find the policies. You need to know the type of policy. There are different life insurance policies. I can't tell you how many times people come in there trying to pay me with an accidental death policy. Did your mama die from an accident? She just died in her sleep. That is not an accident.
Yes,
so guess what? You can't use this. Okay? Make sure you know the type of policy. Make sure the policy is active. Call and verify that the policy is active. And you can ask the insurance company, once you get them on the phone and they verify that you are authorized to talk to them, you can ask all these questions right here. Can you tell me the face amount? Can you tell me, and I know I may be a beneficiary or I may not be. They might not tell you, but I'm going to tell y'all, these are questions that the insurance company is not happy to answer for the funeral home. They don't like telling us that stuff because they feel like we're digging in your business. You need to come in there with this information already prepared for us. Tell you another thing. When I say check the status, make sure the insurance is not lapsed. Make sure that just because you got the papers in the house, that don't mean nothing. Mama could have been stopped paying on that years ago. She just kept the papers. Make sure you know that it is active. Then we talk about age. This is where, and I have to pray and ask God to forgive me a lot because I get into arguments with people that make me want to say things that are not Christ-like. Families think they're going to buy an insurance policy today and mama going to die tonight and they're going to come and use it at the funeral. Most insurance companies have a period of contestability, meaning if that policy is not 2 years or more, all you are getting back is that $89.23 you paid them every month, however many months you paid it. Y'all, this causes so many arguments with families because all you got to do is turn to page 3 in your policy documents. You're going to see the face amount and it will tell you the date that the policy was written. If that is not 2 years or more, I'm going to tell y'all, and I'll get, my granddaddy laughs at me because when families bring me a policy, if the paper ain't brown, crumpled up, look like it was under the bed, if it don't look like it got mold or mildew on the back of it or something, I don't really trust it. If the paper look like you just stapled it together, I look at you like, okay, you can just sit it right there. Because I know it's not old enough. I can look at a policy, if it's too crisp, you know what I'm talking about. If the front of that paper too crisp, you just got this. This paper don't look 2 years old. And I'm not even, I'm going to tell you, I'm not even, and some people say, well, I already called. They told me they'll pay. Let me tell you how that works at the funeral home. You file that on your own. Okay? We can't use that to pay for the funeral. I'm going to need you to pay me whatever is on the bottom of this bill, and you go file that separately on your own. You cannot use this to pay, because guess what? If it doesn't pay out, the funeral home gets a charge back. Okay? I'm not wasting, I don't spend my time arguing with people about that. When I flip to that 3rd page, if the date say you just wrote it last month, take it back to the house and y'all call the insurance company and do it on your own. That's not being harsh. It is the fact that we need to know these things before we go in the funeral home. Next, you need to know the face amount. Don't come in there planning on $50,000 funeral with a $10,000 policy unless you got the other 40 in your bank account to write the check. Know your beneficiaries, primary and contingent. I can't tell y'all how many times the primary beneficiary died before mama. And mama didn't put no contingent because she ain't trusted the rest of y'all. So then guess what? I got to spend my time arguing with the insurance company. And then guess what? Sometimes it gets caught up in the probate process where we can't even use the policy. Make sure that you are going back and updating these policies to change the benefit. If that person passes away and you know they were the beneficiary, go change that. Okay? Go fix it. Make sure that there are contingent beneficiaries on there as well. Make sure you have other people on there that can sign if something happens. Because we get at a gridlock at the funeral home, because if the primary is already deceased and there are no contingents, the insurance company going to say, okay, well, we got to wait on the court to tell us who can sign to pay this bill. And guess what? The funeral home is not finna take that as an answer. They going to tell you, go find my money. Okay? So we need to be updating our beneficiaries and knowing what, because a lot of times it happens, the primary will pass away before the person that the policy is for. Understand also, like I said, you need to know about loans, you need to know the amount, because people fall on hard times and they need to take loans out on the policies. That's okay, but you need to know that. You need to know. And I also tell you, I know y'all love y'all grandbabies and y'all children to death. I know y'all love them dearly. But let me tell you, do not put them as your beneficiary. If they are not 18, do not put them as your beneficiary. The sad thing for me, this lady lost her husband. They were young. They were in their early 40s. They had just gotten married, and her husband passed away unexpectedly. And they had their grandson as the beneficiary on a $500,000 life insurance policy. And she came in there and planned out the whole funeral. And she told me she had to go home and find the policy. She found it. It was old enough. And when I called the insurance company in front of her, they said, oh, I have a little Jamarion as the beneficiary. And I looked at her and I said, now how old is Jamarion? She said 7. A 7-year-old cannot sign a funeral bill. A 7-year-old cannot sign a funeral assignment form. A 7-year-old is not legally able to sign anything. So then she's sitting there, well, my son, his daddy, can my son say? No, it don't work like that. This is his name on here. She said, so then what that mean? I said, the policy's going to be held until he's 18. So he going to be rich when he turned 18. He got $500,000 to do whatever he want to do with it. And I understand Granddaddy's heart. I know Granddaddy wanted to make sure his grandson was set up. Granddaddy probably didn't think he was going to die before this boy turned 18. But don't do that. Don't do that. Unless you are okay with that policy being held. Make sure it's not a policy that's needed for anything. If it's a policy that's needed for the funeral, don't do that. You also need to make sure before you go to the funeral home that you locate the documents, all your important documents. Like if you're in the military, that DD-214, it needs to go in here. Put the DD-214 in here if you were in the military. Your birth certificate, your marriage license, all those things need to go in here. Make sure that you find the ID, that you find the Social Security card. When you go to the funeral home, I encourage people, don't wait till they tell you what to bring. 10 minutes, okay. Don't wait till they tell you what to bring. You know what to bring because you have the checklist. Now, this sounds funny. When you gather in the clothing, they have to have undergarments, okay? You got to bring that. People ask all the time, why y'all need socks? Don't you wear socks? Okay? Make sure that you take all that stuff before you go so that the funeral home doesn't have to ask you for that. It's helpful, y'all, to go ahead and put pictures that you know you're going to want in the program. All that. Some people take their pre-need as far as they will go ahead and write out their program. You got it here. Now, I'm going to tell y'all, because I'm A&B and I'm a pastor and I'm also a funeral director, make sure that the pastor, do not plan funerals and don't let the pastor see the order of service. At my funeral home, I have where the pastor has to sign the order of service template. And if it's not signed, I'm not printing that program. I don't care that you paid for it. Go to Office Depot and print your own. But if the funeral home is printing them, I need to know that the pastor saw this. Because it's very disheartening to me, and you got some pastors that are mean enough, they'll get up there and say, well, I didn't see this order of service, so there will be some changes to it, and you won't embarrass me or my funeral home that way. So, as a family, I always ask, did the pastor see this order of service? I need his phone number. Because I'm going to call them and say, did you see this order of service? They say, yes, fine, we'll print it. But understand that this needs to be done in consultation with the pastor. Don't just be putting stuff on there because you want your niece to sing 10 times. Okay? When you get to the funeral home, you need to be prepared to select certain items. You need to make sure that you understand that there are some items that are required by law. Okay? Understand? Embalming is not required by law, but for y'all, yes, it needs to be. Because you want the funeral 20 days from now. You want people to see mama, so she got to be embalmed. Number 2, cemeteries most cemeteries require a vault. Don't you go in there arguing with them people because you got to pay for a vault. Well, we just thought we just buy the casket. You can't just put the casket in the ground. We can, but the cemetery requires a vault. And if the cemetery requires that, you got to pay for it. Okay? Those are some things that are non-declinable. Also, a non-declinable fee is called basic services of funeral director and staff. That's our overhead charge. You got to pay that. I don't care what kind of funeral you get, burial, cremation, you got to pay that because that's how the funeral home pays the bills. Okay? You need to see and obtain a general price list. By law, I'm going to tell y'all this because y'all get so caught up with Mr. So-and-so, he's been buried in our family so long, and y'all don't ask. By law, he has to give you a general price list. That is the law. And it is yours to keep. Not for you to look at on no screen, not for you to look at in no binder. You got to take it home with you. And also, by law, he has to give you a funeral bill. This is called a statement of goods and services. You have to have an itemized funeral bill, line by line, for everything you are getting and how much it costs. And what you better do is compare it to that price list. Make sure that it matches the price that they told you was the price on the price list, okay? So when you get ready to walk out of that funeral home, you better have one of those. Okay? You have to have that. That's the law. When you get ready to walk out of that funeral home, you also have to have the bill. This is somebody's price list. I did a price list that was from nowhere around here. It'll say general price list on the front of it. They have to give you that. That is the law. You can go get one right now if you want to. They can't question you. You can go collect one from every funeral home if you want to. The law says, by the Federal Trade Commission, we can't ask you anything. When you ask us about a price list, we just have to give it to you. That's the law. Okay? So make sure they give you that. Okay? This is how a price list looks. It's going to tell you every price that the funeral home charges for every service it provides. And for you, that tells you that they're not just making up the prices that they gave you. Because Mr. So-and-so been in y'all family so long, chances are he used to just make up prices and give y'all. We can't do that. By law, we have to charge every family the same price for whatever the service is that they're asking for. Okay? Now I'm going to tell you, cremation is a whole other thing. That's why I told you all to make sure that you have you can't just cremate anybody. Okay? So make sure that your documents are in this folder as well. Are there any questions? Oh yeah, thank you. We were supposed to touch on that today. There is something called the right of disposition. Okay? You need to understand that. Everybody don't have the right to just bury or cremate somebody. When someone passes away, I understand in your family, all the sisters get together and run the funerals. That's how it is in my family. My grandma and all her sisters, they handle everybody's funeral. No matter who you are, they gonna run the funeral. But there's a right of disposition. If you are married, your spouse is your legal next of kin, and they have the right. If your spouse is deceased, it goes to your children. If you don't have any children, then it will go to a sibling, or if your parents are still alive, then it goes to your parents. I can't tell you how many times people think just because your sister was living in your house that you in charge of making the arrangements. I'm sorry, thank you, God bless you for taking care of your sister. But if your sister has children, them children can walk right in there and say, now it's our time. And there's nothing you can do about it. Why? Because they have the legal right of disposition. There is a right of disposition. There is an order of kinship. And that flows in a specific order. So if that person is not married, if they don't have any children, then we get into if mom and daddy's still alive, then they're in charge. If your siblings are still alive, then they're in charge. Then we go down to cousins and we get further down the list. But understand that just because you take care of your sister or your brother, and if they have adult children, their children are in charge. Don't embarrass yourself and be arguing because she lived in your house and you took care of her since she got sick. And don't embarrass yourself because you're going to go to court and you're going to find out they have the right. It's nice that you took out the time to put a policy on your sister. Very kind. But guess what? Her children have the right to step in and take over. That's the law. And when we talk about cremation, we have to follow that. When we talk about cremation, guess what? You and your husband might be separated or whatever. If he come in that funeral home and tell me to cremate you, guess what I'm going to do? Cremate you. Because he has the right of disposition. You didn't do the work that you needed to do of getting a divorce. All he got to show me is a marriage license. And I'm going to check and make sure there's no divorce decree. And if he say burn up, all right, yes sir, sign right here. Okay? So we need to make sure when we talk about getting our affairs in order, that's one of the things that I see so many times. And understand, the state of South Carolina stopped coming in the funeral home saying we common law married. July 2018, the state of South Carolina stopped acknowledging common law. I don't care y'all lived together for 70 years. Does not matter. If he ain't put a ring on it, he is not in charge. Okay? Let's be clear on that, because people come in, we common law married. The state of South Carolina does not acknowledge that anymore. You can't just cohabitate and he get to plan the funeral. Don't worry about that. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
One question on the pre-need. Can you put it in the will, the balance of that pre-need?
Yes.
Go to an individual?
Yes. And so on your pre-need, a lot of times the funeral home will ask you to spell out who the balance is to go to. And there's something that we have to sign to get the money out. It's called a certificate of performance. That means that we have done the service, and whoever's in charge has to sign that. Y'all, Sister Murray has kindly availed herself. If you all want to complete these things and want them notarized, she does have her notary stamp here. She will notarize it. That makes it a legal document that you have available to use. I encourage you to take advantage of that if you need it. Yes, sir.
Again, on the pre-need, I think you may have covered this, but I'm not sure that I understood what you said. In the event of a pre-need with a specific funeral home, if that funeral home should go out of business or cease to exist, what happens?
You tell your new funeral home, I had a pre-need at XYZ funeral home, and they will call Consumer Affairs. Consumer Affairs will pull your file, because we have to send your whole file to Consumer Affairs anyway. The state already have your file, and so Consumer Affairs will pull it and they'll forward it to the new funeral home, and they'll send your money over there too. There's a difference in pre-need slash pre-funded and pre-arranged. You can go in there and do pre-arrangements all day long. That's writing out stuff, that's free. Now, I can't tell you the funeral home will keep up with that folder, because by law they don't have to. Okay? The money is the thing that makes them, and the money is the thing that protects, so you know your file is there.
So that's what I want.
So there's pre-need slash pre-funded, meaning you've paid it. And pre-arranged just means you done wrote down some stuff and just took it in there and you want it kept by the funeral home. You can do that.
And just to be clear on pre-need, you can change your funeral home
Anytime.
Anytime. It's not stuck with that even before you pass if you choose not to.
If you choose not to do it, you just go there and say, can I have my pre-need file? I'm transferring it to XYZ. And they have to give you the file to transfer. Okay? Yes, sir. We hear you.
Okay. On death certificates, what's the correct amount or proper amount to it?
I always advise people, good question. The state of South Carolina has increased the charge of death certificates. It's $17 for the first copy and $3 for each additional. What that means is, anytime you come in here and ask for more death certificates, you got to pay that $17 plus again. I advise families, if you got a little bit of business, get 10. You got a lot of business, get 20 or more. Because guess what y'all think y'all can do? A death certificate is like a birth certificate. You cannot photocopy it. Every bank, every vendor, every mortgage company, everything with your name on it, they need their own certified original copy. So you can't go in there being cheap. Yes, ma'am.
On the pre-need again, question. Can you make a direct deposit?
No, ma'am. You are not allowed to just go to First Citizens and say, I want to put this in my pre-need account. You can't. The funeral home has to be involved because there's accountability on both parts. The money has to be given to the funeral home, and the funeral home has to deposit it. That's the way the state wants it set up, so that if they got to come after somebody, they got somebody to come after. And it's so that the funeral home's records are always accurate, and that you ain't just going up there putting money in, and the funeral home think you got 12 in there, and there's 300,000 in there. Okay? So it has to go through the funeral home. Yes.
Back to your insurance policy. You said that the 2-year thing it's not true.
No, it is true.
I mean, can't you get an insurance nowadays that it goes in effect That's.
Don't believe that.
Let me
Go ahead.
let me chime in on that. I'm a licensed
she's a
licensed insurance agent, and there is a 2-year law, contestability. There are policies that you can get today, and we call it insured, immediate insured. And that is true on certain policies. So you have a modified policy where you have to wait 2 years. It's basically, you have health conditions and so forth. But there are policies that you can get that you're immediately covered. However, if you die within the 2 years, which is by law, is contestable. Now, in that contestability period up to the 2 year, they want to make sure that you told the truth on the contract, the application. Want to make sure all the information was accurate from your doctors and so forth. If they find that to be accurate and true, then they will pay out the policy. So even in the 2-year policy, even if it's just a 2-year contestability, but if you were to pass today, you got a policy today, you pass tomorrow or next week, they will contest it. They will go back and make sure, go through your doctor's record, make sure that everything on that policy was accurate, that they gave you the right policy, right? If it turns out that it was correct and everything was legitimate, then they will pay that policy.
But now they tell you don't have to have a health issue or anything. That's why I'm just trying to.
Okay, so now you gotta be careful with those. You have to be careful with those. Those ones, there are policies where they say, okay, we're not gonna check your medical records, we're not gonna come out and do a blood test and all that. There are policies out there, they will automatically, insurance companies that will automatically put you on a 2-year because they're not checking. I'm a producer for a different company, and I'm just, for instance, Lincoln Heritage. We specialize in individuals that have health problems, and so they are modified. If they have severe health issues, they're going to automatically be modified. They're going to be a 2-year wait period. In 2 years, and that 1 day or that 1 hour after that 2 days, they will pay out. But then there are also companies that people just say, okay, well, that's what I want, and you might be in the best of health. If you're in the best of health and you go out there and get one of those policies that says, we're not going to do, they automatically going to put you on a 2-year modified. So you have to be careful, be very careful in researching your insurance companies that you choose to go with. I recommend that if it's automatic and you think you know that you're in a good health, find a policy that reflects that. That doesn't have, there's no need for you to wait for 2 years if you're in a policy, if you're in good health. So do the research.
I'm just puzzled because on TV, and I know that's not a good thing, but you have an insurance that says that no waiting and all, and I can understand 60 days or whatever, but they tell you there's no longer a 2-year waiting period and all, and I'm just, by law it's a 2-year contestability period. By law. There's a question over there.
I believe that insurance, she's speaking out of the Colonial Pen. And they cater to seniors.
Right. They do. Go ahead. Sure.
The game in that company is that you ain't gonna be allowed to know that it's gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a problem for your family.
Yeah.
Okay? Lincoln Heritage is a great company because, and I can tell you, they're going to make sure the funeral home is fine, your family's fine, and you're good. But companies like that, they play on seniors because they understand you're in that frame of mind where you panicking, like, oh Lord, I got high blood pressure, I got this, ain't nobody going to insure me, blah, blah, blah. They just want that premium from you. Then the problem becomes your family's problem because they're not going to pay it.
Right.
It's not going to pay it. And so that's that game with certain companies. You have to do your research, and you got her phone number. You can call her and ask.
And the reason why, I'm gonna tell you, so I was in the funeral home business with my late husband, and the reason why, and I'm not selling Lincoln, but I'm selling the process and the coverage for you. I saw that certain companies, and Lincoln was one of them, that actually, they pay out to the funeral home within 24 to 48 hours. They will do that. They pay out to the families. And what Reverend Brown said was, life insurance is for the living. Life insurance is for the living. That's that, as he mentioned before. But final expense, funeral burial expense, burial coverage, take out a different policy just for your insurance. I mean, just for your funeral, just for that, and leave the life insurance for your family, because, like you said, there are going to be there's going to be expenses that's going to come up. That extra income, that anything, especially if something is going through probate and you still need to pay on that house or that car or whatever that is, or plan for your family's your children. So life insurance for the living. But also, go ahead and look at your final expense and plan for that. Whole life is totally different. Whole life, term life. Make sure you go home and look at your policies.
That's why I said, know the type of policy you have.
So this right here, what Reverend Brown provided to you guys, take a look at it. I'll be here next week, of course. I'm a notary, and I'm able to do that for you. But we'll have Q&A next week, mostly. So write down anything that we've talked about over the last 2 weeks, last Saturday and this Saturday. Take a look at it, get with your family, bring them. Next week is Q&A. We're going to talk about any and everything that you have on your mind. If there's anyone online, send your questions to Elder Anderson so that we can address them. If anyone is online, you are involved as well, send your questions to Elder Anderson, and we will print those out and answer them next week. But bring your family. Come next week, because it's all about Q&A. Everything that we've covered, anything that's on your mind, do that. Thank you.
Elder Jennings, did you have a question before we depart today?
Well, I wanted to make a statement when it's talking about insurance. I'm a former state agent. And one of the things about life insurance, you, as has been stated, you have to be careful. Whatever that policy will do is in black and white. Read your policy. When you get your policy, always read your policy. It will tell you exactly what it will do. Okay? The state law allow the insurance company to contest any policy they write for 2 years. For 2 years. Now, if you buy a life insurance policy and you go out there and have an accident and die that same day, all right, you don't pay that premium, so the insurance will pay. But if you lied on that application, they will not pay.
That's right.
Okay? And I've seen that happen where the agent did not ask the question, and they did the investigation, but the company had to pay because the agent didn't ask the right question. Okay, so read your policy. Whatever it will do is in black and white.
Amen.
We want to thank Reverend Brown and Sister Murray for their wealth of information. And we could talk from now to 6 o'clock this afternoon because all of our situations are different. And there are unanswered questions. But you can get your answers. There is private time. They are available and they will answer your questions. Again, we will be here on next Saturday. Next Saturday we will have the Q&A. It's an opportunity, as she said, for you to complete the information that you have received. She can notarize it and it could be documented. We do have the folders for those who pastor is not here. You can grab a folder, carry it back to your church, and share that information with your congregation. But share it with your pastor first. We understand that the pastors are at the Board of Examiners, and so they could not be here. But if you would, take a folder, share it with your pastor, and allow him or her to present it to that congregation. So we look forward to you being back here with us on next Saturday. And let's give our presenters a hand. They kept us awake, especially Reverend Brown with his antics and his, but we really appreciate all that they do. They make it the sacrifice to make sure that we have information, and not just have it, but act on the information. And that's what we intend to do. We intend to act. So thank you so much for your time. In the packet, we do have, several items. As Reverend Brown did share, there is an outline for that you could go ahead and prepare. We do have a journal that you could take notes so you can be prepared. The final wishes plan is available. We do have the memorial checklist. That there are several checklists in there that you can go down and make sure that you have checked off everything. There's estate planning in there. And then there's a 5 wishes booklet that's available in there. Some of it is overlapping, but you might find a nugget in each one of them. So it's important that you go through each one. It's okay if you have to write your name 5 times because you got 5 different, but there it might be a nugget in there that you did not think about or was not included on somebody else's. So it's important that you go through all of them. And if you want it notarized next week, Sister Murray will be here. She is a notary. I am a notary. I think Reverend Brown is a notary. Reverend Thomas is a notary. So we do have several notaries here available, and you can get your information notarized. And it will be important that you carry it back, put it in a safe place, but let somebody know. I think Sister Murray talked on that. Make sure you tell somebody where you put it so that it will be beneficial to you.
Tell more than one somebody.
Tell more than one somebody.
And I think one thing that was not in there that Sister Murray mentioned last week was about passwords.
Yes.
So jot that on in your journal or somewhere, okay?
That's correct. And also you should have a little slip if you want to put your name, email address, and phone number. If you're going to do the presentation back at your local church, we'll be delighted. All of this can be sent to you electronically, and we'd be delighted to send it to you electronically, so you'll be able to share it with your members.
And after next week, we will distribute the YouTube channel that all of this information from then, today, and next week that will be on, and you all can access it, give it to your members so they can access it, have a ball with it, learn something new.
Yes, and even if you wanted to utilize that when you do it at your church, you can set up your screens at your local church, and then you can use that to do the presentation if you do not have it live from Sister Murray or Reverend Brown. Okay? Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate you, and we hope that you are learning something. Jot down your questions, because next week will be more question and answer session. Okay?
Also, this is on Abbeville-Greenwood District Facebook page.
Abbeville-Greenwood District Facebook page. It's on that, so you'll be able to replay and hear it again. Okay? Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. Digest the material, and we're going to ask Reverend Brown if he will come and close us out with the word of prayer.
Let us pray. Our Father and our God, we thank you. God, we thank you for our life, for our health, and our strength. We thank you, O God, for counting it not robbery to touch us with your finger of love this morning, O God, and to allow us to assemble here together, to learn, to fellowship one with another. Now, God, we ask that you give us that same mercy that you gave, that same grace and protection to bring us here. Give us that same grace and mercy to carry us to our various destinations. Go with us and guide us. Build a wall of protection all around us is our prayer. Bless humankind everywhere. God, we ask in your name, and we count these things already done. And we say amen, amen,